It's just like, remember in Goodfellas where they invested in the restaurant and they would bring the booze and stuff in the front door and they take it right out the back door. And then when the place collapsed financially, they just burned it down for the insurance money. That's what they're doing to the United States right now. Wall Street Apes tweets this video out. This is amazing. This is from May 21st. Democrats laundered so much money. So after Donald Trump, after Kamala lost and Donald Trump won the election, to when Joe Biden had to leave office officially and Donald Trump got inaugurated, you can't believe how much money the Department of Energy they were like just trying to get rid of money. They were just trying to funnel as much money as they could out of the federal government to their cronies.
Oh, the thing I said, because it was obvious that they were all trying to cash in on the most expensive campaign.
Yeah, yes.
She ran a great campaign. Well, she ran $1 billion campaign, if that's what you mean.
So listen to this. They gave this money away with no oversight, just like the money to Ukraine, no oversight. And that's how you know it's about helping people.
Yeah.
So here we go. Watch this. This happened yesterday. Oh, hang on. My fault. My bad. Hang on.
Oh, we're still funding this crap too, by the way.
By the way, they're still funding Ukraine. Trump has not stopped funding Ukraine, just so you know.
We're not stopping the funding.
No.
They're spending more money than they did before. Doge was fake. You cried about nothing if you hate Elon. None of it's real.
None of it's real. That's right.
Mr. Secretary, I want to go back to some of your earlier testimony, be sure I heard it correctly. The 76-day period you're talking about, that's the period between the time that President Trump was elected and President Biden left office. Is that right?
That is correct.
And during that short period of time, 76 days, how much taxpayer money went out the door of the Department of Energy?
From the Loan Program Office in loans and commitments, $93 billion.
$93 billion. Imagine what you could do with $93 billion. They used to say you could end homelessness for $20 billion, but now it's a homelessness industrial complex where they never spend money to actually help the people. It just goes right in their grifting pockets.
Oh, I know. We could buy 93 billion, like about 3 days worth of cocaine for Zelensky.
Imagine if they took $1 billion and gave it to the top 93 cities in America and said, hey, here's $1 billion.
It would just be stolen.
Los Angeles, why don't you go do something crazy like buy 10,000 fire trucks and fill them with water? Something crazy like that.
That's untested, Jimmy.
Here's $1 billion. Imagine if they give $1 billion to St. Louis and Minneapolis and Sacramento and Chicago and New York and New Jersey. And
it would be stolen. It wouldn't go anywhere.
I'm just,
See, the problem. You can't do that because they're all corrupt.
Please let me make my point. Don't ruin it.
Oh.
The point is, imagine if we actually had that money and we spent it on things that we needed. Imagine if we actually did that. Imagine how many schools you could build. Imagine if you know what you could do with a $93 billion? You could build 93 brand new sports stadiums. Imagine all the jobs that would create. So you could knock down the old ones and build brand new ones. It would take a couple of years. Look, imagine all the jobs that would create in each city. Imagine how much just what we could do with we could build houses for the homeless. $93 billion. We could build give it to the top 93 cities, $1 billion. Say go build housing. But here's what they did do with it. And by the way, no oversight, and that's just in a 76-day period. Do you understand the level of corruption inside your government? There you go.
Well over twice as much as in the previous 15 years. So,
how do you vet and do due diligence on a loan in 76 days? One loan, much less $93 billion. How do you do it?
I think it's probably pretty clear it wasn't done in many cases. As I mentioned, I'm told I'm holding back clearly in place stuff. There was lots of funds that have gone out the door and commitments that were made from businesses that provided no business plan, no numbers about their own financial solvency or how this project.
So you're telling me that the Department of Energy, in the 76-day period, before their boss was going to leave office, gave or loaned money to entities that had no business plan?
Correct.
No financials?
Correct. A number of those were before the 76-day period as well. I've come in with great concern about how this institution, this great American institution, has been run and how American taxpayer money has been handled. I'm sorry, everyone's upset that we're taking some time to do it, but what we've seen, what the record shows,
I'm not upset. Could it be that a lot of people say you haven't returned your calls? Could it be that you and your colleagues have returned the calls, but the people calling just didn't like the answer? Could that be a possibility?
I'm not aware of that. You know, I give my cell phone number to any senator that wants it, and I return my calls.
I mean, is your department gone dark? Somebody said your department's gone dark. Is it dark over there?
It doesn't look dark behind me.
I don't see any of you sitting on your hands. Somebody made that charge. I see everybody's hands. Let me ask you something else, Mr. Secretary. Does anybody ever come to the Department of Energy to get some of this free money and lie to you?
I have not experienced that, but I think it's a reasonable assumption that has happened.
Does anybody ever come to you, or is it conceivable that some of these folks that heard about this free money came to you with a half-baked idea?
I think it's very conceivable. In fact, I've seen such plans that were half-baked but charitable.
That didn't have a business plan, right?
Correct. A promise to develop one, to find a location.
Just give me the money and I'll develop the plan later.
Correct.
So the word went out, hey, go to the Department of Energy, tell them you got some half-baked plan, or you don't even have a plan yet, and they're going to give you money. That $93 billion in a 76-day period. They're just going to give it to you in the form of a loan, and then your business could just go bankrupt and go, we don't have any money to pay you back. Wow.
How big a deal that is, the Department of Energy, the stuff that they have control over. I think he played a clip of Stephen Colbert going when COVID happened and the Department of Energy weighed in on whether it came from a lab. Remember that?
Oh, remember
and
that?
Stephen goes, oh, bad Department of Energy. You handle energy.
I'm pretty clear.
No, they handle probably everything up to UFOs.
Here,
that's how you know how bad this corruption is.
Something else.
Department of Energy.
Let me ask you.
Go ahead. Department of Energy.
Yeah, Department of Energy handles, that's military industrial complex, hardcore deep state stuff, the Department of Energy. It's not just the Department of Energy. It's people don't understand how fake America is. They don't.
Right. So the people who are running things are just, it's just how empires end. They're looting the treasury. That's what this is. They're looting, and they're doing it right in the budget, right? So Trump comes out, hey, I got $175 billion. We're going to do a dome for a missile defense that we don't need, and it isn't going to work. So it's not the point if it's going to work or if we need it. The point is, hey, we're looting the treasury. We're sucking the money. It's just like, remember in Goodfellas where they invested in the restaurant and they would bring the booze and stuff in the front door and they take it right out the back door. And then when the place collapsed financially, they just burned it down for the insurance money. That's what they're doing to the United States right now.
Like California.
And it's both,
Palestine,
it's both parties.
All the Lahaina.
It's both,
all of them.
It's both parties. It's not just Joe Biden. It's not just Donald Trump. It's the Republicans and it's the Uniparty. And that's why that's why the budget that they just passed in the House, it ramps up the debt. All that Doge stuff, all bullshit. And that's why they're increasing the debt. They're not, but they will cut some health care from you and they will cut some Social Security, but they're not going to actually cut the Pentagon. They're going to increase it. They're going to increase the debt. So, and that's more what this is. Let's watch. There's a little bit more of this.
Something else, Mr. Secretary. Does anybody ever come to the Department of Energy to get some of this free money and lie to you?
Yeah. Okay. Let me.
You didn't have a business plan, right?
Correct. A promise to develop one, to find a location.
Just give me the money and I'll develop the plan later.
Correct.
And now you're going back through, not money that's already been contracted, but you're going back through and checking each one of these loans and these grants to make sure there was no stealing, aren't you?
We are.
Make sure there was no incompetence, aren't you? Is that correct?
We're looking at that, and yeah, my blood pressure is rising right now just thinking about what we have seen and what did happen.
And you're going to tell some of these boondoggles no, aren't you?
That's correct.
And they're going to be upset, aren't they?
That's correct.
And they ought to be upset, shouldn't they?
I don't think they should be upset. I think they should be ashamed.
I am. It's rare that I'm speechless. But I want to be sure I understood. The people running the Department of Energy for President Biden's administration shoveled $93 billion, not million, $93 billion out the door in 76 days, and it just happened to be the time between when President Trump was elected and President Biden, their boss, was leaving. Is that right?
It is correct and distasteful. Confidence undermining.
My God. Look, I hope you take whatever time you need to go through all of these projects, penny by penny. I mean, I've heard this testimony today. Well, it'll cost jobs in my state. If somebody steals $50 million and goes and spends the money in their state, that's going to stimulate the economy, isn't it?
Yes, it will.
But that's still stealing, isn't it? And it's still illegal, isn't it?
Yes.
I mean, they were spending money at the Department of Energy like it was ditch water. Their budget went from $60 billion to $160 billion since fiscal year 2021. It just sounds to me like there were a lot of people coming to the Department of Energy who had all 4 feet and their snout in the trough. And I hope you'll turn down the boondoggles and refer the thieves to the Department of Justice.
We will indeed. Senator, the one complication in there, too, is mixed in there are good companies doing good things, honestly, with credible plans.
And you're trying to separate the wheat from the chaff.
Yes, that's what we're trying to do. That's our job, and we're doing it. But there's a lot of chaff.
Let me ask you one final question. Let me go back to how many employees you have. Now, there have been some allegations today that you've cut tens of thousands of employees. Is that accurate?
Well, I think the allegations were thousands, and our headcount will ultimately be reduced by thousands, but we are doing it slowly.
You've got 16,000 now?
Yes.
And you think you can do it with fewer than 16,000?
Correct.
What's wrong with that?
I think it's just common sense business.
Yeah. Businesses do it every day in the real world.
American taxpayers deserve it.
That's never happened in the federal government. I mean, it's easier to divorce your spouse than to get rid of a federal employee up here. That's not the way the world works, is it, Mr. Secretary?
It's not the way the world should work. And I give enormous credit to President Trump, who had the boldness to say, if there's a right thing that needs to be done and it's difficult, please do it. And so, yes, this is new territory. This is not what happens normally in the federal government, but it is what needs to happen periodically in the federal government. And I give the credit to President Trump, who's willing to take the heat and has set the departments free, make the changes you need to make to better serve American taxpayers and American consumers. And across his administration, that's what's being done.
All right, on that.
And then, of course, he's going to take all that money we save and give it to the military-industrial complex. And he's going to give you even more. So he's going to actually spend more than Joe Biden.
He's very proud of it.
He's very proud. He's got this
big, beautiful.
He's got the guts to do it. He's got the stones to do it. Donald Trump. You mean the stones to do the exact opposite of what he said he was going to do, and actually increase the budget of the Pentagon. Remember, he came in and he said we're going to cut the Pentagon budget 50%. 50%. I'm going to talk to China. I'm going to talk to Russia and say, hey, what are we doing this to ourselves for? We don't want to fight each other. We want to make trade. Let's all reduce our military spending 50%. That was such a
Sounded sweet, didn't it?
It sounded sweet. I was excited.
Well, Jimmy, look, I don't put it on Trump. The president is not in that kind of control. The whole thing's fake. Your vote doesn't count. How many times you have to see it
doesn't
displayed
count
before you realize your vote doesn't count, and it's designed that way on purpose.
But there's some people out there, Kurt, honestly, well, I see them on Twitter because that's the only social media I go on. But they're actually they still believe that Donald Trump is trying to cut the budget. It's like, no, he's pushing through a budget that ramps up the military spend, the Pentagon, which is just grift. They can't pass an audit. He didn't send Doge over to the Pentagon. That was all on purpose.
They don't have to hide. They don't have to hide this stuff.
And they're not even...
The stuff I know is public.
Yeah.
You're not going to look. The whole thing rests on, I just want to keep my head down and do my job. The refrain of the American cow. And go ahead and say it out loud, cow.
And they think the reason why we have such a ballooning deficit is because of illegal people with no power. The people on the lowest rung of the social ladder, illegal immigrants.
Yeah, there's that Ukraine and Israel and
all those fat cats at the bottom.
About the Golden Dome. Yeah, they're fat eating Oreos on my dime, Jimmy. That's money that Israel could use to kill the rest of those Arabs and take their shit.
Just think about the $25 billion Trump's putting in the budget to go for the Golden Dome. That's just this year. So take the top 10 cities in America. You give them all $2 billion. Hey, build homeless, build anything, build anything you want. Here's $2 billion. Build it.
Remember managed decline, the supposed conspiracy term that someone said to the Iron Lady over in England about some town, like better let it just burn down. Mm-hmm. What's her name? I'm forgetting. Thatcher. That's right. And that's a real thing someone said to her. And people suggested that it was happening during Obama's term. This is managed decline. And I never bothered to look into what that word meant, but that's what we're in.
That's what we're in.
They can never pay back the debt. Just so everybody knows. They stole so much money, and whatever you think the debt is, it's way worse than that. They can never tell you the truth about anything. All they can do is keep this going as long as possible. And they go in a bunker when you find out. And
the budget that Trump and the Republicans are pushing through right now is going to increase the debt by trillions of dollars. At the same time, they're going to be cutting health care from MAGA workers. And for old people in old folks' homes, in nursing homes. And yes, they're going to also take it away from, I guess there's some way that some illegal immigrants get some. Yeah, that's all. But it's all, the majority of it's coming out of workers.
Yeah, how about people we send money to don't even bother to show up here? We just send it to them forever for some reason. I don't want to name any names because I don't want to be labeled a slur, but you know who I'm talking about.
Come see us live in Los Angeles, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, Ottawa, Glasgow, Manchester, Belfast, Dublin, London, Liverpool, Birmingham. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.